I went to Lowe's and I picked through their cedar boards. You have to really look to find clean stuff. The cleanest stuff I could get was 2 by 6 by 10 foot. I didn't really need anything longer than 7 foot, but in order to get really clean boards and hardly any knots, I had to get the 10 footers. So I took them on the table saw and ripped them in half to where I had two pieces that were about 2 5/8 wide, and then I stood those on end and cut out my planks, and I was able to get 2 per half, or I wound up with 4 long boards per 2 by 6. This all has taken better than a week to do, so I took still shots of the progress. Those 2 boards are actually a hatch. They are attached to themselves and lift out. You can see as we get more boards in here how that all fits together. The trickiest thing about fitting these boards in here was figuring out what to do with the ends of them. I ended up taking some of my offcuts and making some just random kinds of designs to see what might look good, and then would put the boards in there to see if that's how I wanted it to look. And then once I was satisfied with that, I could take it over and start cutting it out. So this piece is going to be somewhat representative of how that's going to look. We'll put that one in for the next plank with this end here, and I've already got it drawn off on here to saw it out. And then the other end of it here will likely be the next plank next to this. Something like that. This won't be the exact cut, but those 2 pieces together, and they were both on that same little test board. So we'll take more pictures. So I've still got a little bit to go on this side. And the one thing that I would say about this is that it's really hard to know how to make the ends fit around the frames. And so it doesn't look exactly like what I imagined it would. But what I've done basically is just make sure that I'm symmetrical. I still have to put that one piece in there in the middle. That's a hatch board in the middle behind the centerboard trunk. I'm pretty much done on the other side. We'll go around and look at that. Overall, I really like it. The cedar was really wonderful to work with. Western red cedars. I like it. So you can see how I'm symmetrical. Each board is pretty much the same, and how I come and fit over the frames. You cut out things like this because the frame starts sticking up, and so kind of made it a little bit decorative. I did have to be pretty careful with where I put screws in. Like, I don't have one in here because I'm not drilling down 1.5 inches through that. I'll be into the hull, and I don't want to do that. So I've got some more screws coming. I had to order more. I ran out. There's a little horseradish jar that I saved, and I got my 1.5 screws in that. Anyway, all in all, certainly it'll be functional. And there's 2 little blocks next to the screwdriver. Those are 1/4 inch thickness, and that's what I used as little spacers to make sure that my planks were kept 1/4 inch apart. Now remember, the plan called for it to be 3/16, but my boards weren't as wide. Oh yeah, and one other thing that I had to do, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell looking at this, but this board here, I had to cut that down. All the rest of my boards are about 2 5/8 wide. I cut that one down to 2 1/4 wide, and it just had to do with the way the board was landing on the framing, to where the next board wasn't going to lay in there and have anything to grab onto, like up at the end, up here, if I didn't make that board more narrow. So you really kind of got to think ahead of time about what you're doing, and even if you have one board ready to go, kind of get the other one ready next to it, so that you can make sure that the next board's going to go in okay. It's just like anything else. If you do screw it up, you just take it out and do it over. But I only had a limited amount of lumber, and quite honestly, out of everything that I ripped, I have one long piece left. Do I? No, I think I used it all. Huh, how about that? So anyway, I'm really very pleased with it. Just a little bit more, kind of a wider angle of how that looks. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.